The air in the marsh shimmered faintly, a surreal haze that clung to the dense, green-tinged world. Zephyr stood under a toy sun that flickered with an almost childlike inconsistency, his form silhouetted by the wavering light of a chaos fire. The flames licked the humid air, their crackling sound a strange harmony to the marsh's soft symphony of croaking frogs and rustling reeds. Zephyr closed his eyes, breathing in the weighted stillness. Elevation, he muttered, his voice low and resonant, carrying a sense of reverence. His words, as always, felt like declarations, small prayers to the reality he found himself within. As predicted, he continued, the hint of a smirk tugging at the corners of his mouth. Still, the pressure of growth. His fingers traced the edges of an ivory cigar, lighting it with a practiced flick of his fingers. He inhaled deeply, the smoke curling around his face like a serpent. He exhaled, his gaze sharpening. Before him, the marsh's surface rippled, reflecting not only the verdant hue of the surroundings, but also the swirling thoughts within his mind. A new set of skills to develop, he murmured. His focus shifted to a thought he held suspended, a computation of sedimented probability given shape, sigillized dice, their edges glowing faintly as they spun within his grasp. Here, he said softly, a storm may rumble. But do I have the will? Zephyr rolled the dice in his mind, each sigil glinting with calculated energy. To get to the core, where a dream metamorphosizes, a new order, that was the wish, at least one of them. And now, he paused, scanning the scattered artifacts barely visible through the marsh's mist. Here, invisible boundaries overlaid the world around him, cubes and rectangles marking paths and objects. They shimmered faintly, as if waiting for him to reach out and uncover their secrets. Space? He asked, tilting his head, as though listening to the answer carried on the breeze. I can feel an allure, layered, but how? There must be a root, something that holds the flow down in the mud. The thought settled heavily, and he whispered, the honor, the glory. A combo? His determination flared. I will attack, no matter the enemies in my path. From the corner of his vision, shadowy forms emerged. Hook-limbed quadrupeds wandered along faintly etched roads, their movement almost mechanical. Zephyr's wing shifted, turning to shadow, and with a single sweep, he sliced through the creatures. They fell without sound, their presence dissolving like forgotten memories. What does one aim for in a realm of weeds? He asked himself, the question hanging in the air. A nesting alg? This season, the invasive thoughts grow quickly. Well then. A deep rumble interrupted him. The ground beneath his feet churned, mud bubbling violently as something emerged. A spawner, wrapped in a web of weeds, twisted and shifted, birthing a monstrosity. A three-headed chimera stood before him, one head bearing a sharp beak, the other two shadowy canine maws snapping and tearing at the wet earth. Zephyr's lips curled in a mixture of amusement and curiosity. A chimera, he said, his voice steady. A wish. What did he do? He studied the creature as if it were a riddle presented for his amusement. How? All of this brought forth by the taps. Closing his eyes, Zephyr reached inward, his thoughts forming a triangle. Black square, black circle, black triangle. The symbols connected in his mind, revealing a waypoint shimmering in the distance. How did he seed that flow? Zephyr mused. The clock, the chaos, the puzzle's crunch. He stepped forward, following the path revealed to him. The marsh shifted around him, its oppressive atmosphere giving way to a field of dandelions ready to disperse. Their white fluff blanketed the landscape, glowing faintly in the surreal light. In the air, an image flickered, a coiling, feathered serpent looping endlessly, its body forming fractal patterns that defied comprehension. Zephyr's eyes narrowed. That image, a fractal, a gateway to the memories of the past. Is it the cycle to stitch perfection? How could all of this have been known? He paused, the air thick with possibility. It was the tome of mimics that brought order, but the puzzle box, he exhaled sharply. A lure, set before Father Time crawled out from his wretched hole. The serpent flickered, its form shifting with the rhythm of his thoughts. And the current dance? A circuit of disruption, which will make the pillars of the center fall. Zephyr's brow furrowed. Wait, how did I know that? Wait, how do I know any of it? After all, what is knowing? A rustling in the grass broke the silence. Emerging from the dandelion field was a figure with a papery smile, Kenyon, the wish drake. His greenish scales glinted in the dim light, and his fishhook whiskers curled around the stones protruding from the ground. The pressure of his presence altered the geometry of the stones, bending them as though reality itself bowed to his will. Finally, Kenyon said, his voice smooth and layered with subtle amusement. Zephyr tilted his head. Huh? Kenyon chuckled, his whiskers curling tighter. You finally asked the question of repetition. Zephyr frowned. You tome drakes and your riddles. These are for reflection, Kenyon replied, his tone almost chiding. Apologies for the delay. The air around them shifted. A shadowy cybernetic focus materialized, spinning in the ether. The clicks of unseen mechanisms echoed in all directions, a dissonant symphony that sent a shiver through the dandelion field. Kenyon laughed softly to himself, his papery smile never faltering. Sense the wave of energy, the wish drake said. I hope you find your way. Zephyr stood silent, his gaze fixed on the serpent fractal flickering above. The marsh, the chimera, the dandelions, and now Kenyon. They all seemed pieces of a puzzle he wasn't sure he wanted to solve. Yet, deep within, a resolve burned. The chaos fire flickered again in the distance, its light casting long, shifting shadows over the field. Zephyr took a step forward, his mind sharp, his wing poised for the next challenge. Whatever lay ahead, he knew it would demand every ounce of his will, and that, he thought with a smirk, was just how he preferred it.